Welcome to HirewithEve.ai podcast. HirewithEve.ai is an AI tool to pre-screen candidates and accurately identify their skills to help you cut down your hiring time by 90%. In this podcast series, we interview and have in-depth conversations with global HR leaders across industries and geographies to understand current HR trends, leadership challenges, workforce plannings, and many more interesting topics. So with that, let's dive into today's conversation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm Rahul Abhisek, the founder of HirewithEve.ai, a tool that is helping you reduce your hiring time by 90%. Today, it's my real pleasure to welcome Ms. Anamika Sinha. Anamika brings about 2 decades of experience in prominent roles at companies such as TCS, Cognizant, Prodapt, and currently, she is the head of people and culture at Centrico, which is an innovative banking and fintech company with an open banking system. She's also the recipient of FICCI HR Leader Award, and she brings deep expertise in talent management and cultural transformation. So, welcome, Anamika, to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for having me there, and happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. And so it would be great to also hear about you, your career, your journey, and then start our podcast with an introduction of you.
Okay. Introduction of myself. I am a traveler at heart, and the last couple of years I have started doing solo traveling.
Okay.
So that is one of the most interesting things that I am doing right now. And I love storytelling. I have written 30 stories and I have published them, short stories.
Great.
I am a mother of two girls. And career trajectory, you already spoke about it. The companies that I have worked with. In terms of roles, I have played roles of being HR partner, BU HR head. Uh, I have taken care of workforce management. I have been into hiring. And now I'm doing it all together, which is taking care of people and culture, which encompasses all these functions together. Uh, so that is in nutshell my introduction. Uh, where I started my career with, that is a very, very interesting thing. So I come from Delhi School of Economics, HR, North Campus. And from there, my first job landed me to Faridabad shop floor, which is a very, very different culture and environment, I would say. But that gave me the grounding for life. One, if you are working on shop floor where you have trade unions, where you have workers, and in a place like Faridabad where it is very, very strong in terms of the trade union, uh, being there helped me to understand the importance of employee centricity and how you connect with the employees over there, the workmen, the supervisors. Otherwise, you do not gain their respect just by the designation or the HR tag that you have. The second very important thing that I learned by starting my career in a manufacturing company, I was part of Thomson Press India Limited, which is the printing press for India Today Group. So the second very, very important thing I learned was to understand the business for which you are working. You won't believe me, Rahul. For 1 month, me and the three other, students who we joined when we joined Thomson Press India Limited, 1 month we were only on the shop floor. We were learning the business process. We learned how many kinds of paints are there, the colors are there, how the quality check is done, how do we, how is the workman trained on the machine, how does the AC work, how does it fail. So that gave me a very sound understanding of how it is very important for a HR professional to know the business that you work for.
That's a
Yeah.
great story and insight. I think that is super. Thanks for sharing that. So Anamika, I mean, we believe HRs they build the organization. They are the superpowers, of the organization. So one of the questions that we often ask our guests is, what do you think is an HR superpower? And post that, you could also talk about what are their weaknesses.
Yeah. Okay. So that reminds me of the movie Spider-Man, which says, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm sure other HRs also would have told you the
Not
same.
really, not really. I think that's a
Really?
one. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
okay. So yeah, that was the instant thought that I got after I heard your question. So in today's world, Rahul, if you see, the business models can always be replicated, right? You have an Amazon, and then you have a Flipkart, and then you have a Miso, you can have a Blinkit. Anybody can replicate that business model. But what is the true differentiator? The true differentiator are the kind of people that we have in our organization and the relationship and the connectedness that they have with the organization. So they are the ones who create the real difference between what a good organization is and what is a great organization. So as HR, if we do not touch lives, then we don't reach far. The second very important change that we see right now is the the kind of change that we are seeing, the rapid pace of technology adoption that we are seeing. So if we had Netflix, where it took 3.5 years to reach 1 million user, and then we were all being so gung-ho about ChatGPT reaching 1 million user in 1 week, and then we had Thread, where we had 1 million user in 1 hour, and in 2 hours we had 2 million users. So that's the kind of change, rapid change that we are seeing right now. So HR is playing a very important role in ensuring that there is flexibility in talent, and the learnability quotient is increasing, and we are able to keep pace. The organizations are changing very fast. So
yeah,
we are helping, yeah, we are enabling our employees also to be in sync with that fast-paced change that we see. The third, I would say, is we are playing, and we always played, in terms of being an integral part in defining the culture of the organization, which should be of meritocracy, flexibility, where you appreciate people who are doing well, where they are aligned, they feel belonging. There is a sense of belongingness that we have for the employees, and there is a culture of innovation, but at the same time, people feel psychologically safe. So that is a very, very important part that we as HR people have been playing. The third thing I would say is, today diversity and inclusion is not a social need. It has become pretty much a business need. But that also requires the culture of the organization to be inclusive. And we need, apart from having a strong culture, we also need a very strong ecosystem in the organization. So HR has been pretty much at the helm of affairs of enabling this diversity and inclusivity in the organizations. If you look at our role, we are also moving beyond what we do for our internal customer, what we do for the organization, and we consider ourselves as a part of the larger society as a whole, where we are contributing to the ESG agenda as well. So I would say, yeah, these are the few things that are very important to us. And if there are few superpowers that if you ask every HR person that they would want to have, is to know very basic thing, to know whether tomorrow my client is joining or not and who is
yeah,
going to leave. But beyond that, I think these are the very, very important factors that we are contributing to. I wouldn't say mistakes that we should look out for, but the things that as HR that we need to look out for. One is very, very important is most of the times we are reacting to scenarios. We are doing things that our business would have asked us to do. So one thing that we really need to do as HR is to be very, very proactive.
yeah,
We need to understand the market, Rahul, where we operate. We need to understand what our competition is doing. We need to understand where the economy is heading towards, and accordingly change or adapt our practices. So that is very important. At the same time, not just copy paste them, but also to understand what is it the differentiator that we can create for our own organization to have that competitive advantage. So being that consultant to the business is very important, and that is how we redefine our roles. The second thing that we need to do is, most of the times we push things as HR agenda or HR initiative. That actually reduces the buy-in of the people. It should be everybody's agenda. All our stakeholders should know if we are pushing for a change, why are we doing that, what is in it for them, and what is the role that they are playing in that change management. So that storytelling has to come very naturally from us, and we have to make everybody a part of what we do. So that, I would say, is the second thing that we need to be careful about. The third thing is return on investment on all our efforts or all our investment, even if it is about doing an initiative. It might not be a tangible return on investment, it might be an intangible return on investment. Third thing is about defining the ROI that on all the initiatives that we do. It might not always be tangible, the return on investment that we are talking about, even if it is intangible, but we need to convey to our stakeholders as to what is in it that we are trying to achieve through the initiative that we are doing. So once we put that stake out, the buy-in becomes much more easier, and they sign off for that initiative that we are working on. So these are the three things I think is very important that HR should definitely prioritize upon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that kind of answers also my next question, which was very much connected to what is the vision of an
Yeah.
HR role in driving business growth and success. So, would you like to add there further? Because I think the previous answer it did kind of touch base on this question.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, HR vision, most importantly, continuing from where we left in the last question, was we have to be flexible, agile, nimble. That is the current need that is there. We have to be aware of, today brand loyalty is a passe. So we have to be aware of where our talent lies, who are those critical resources. We have to create differentiators for them, make them feel special. The third thing is about understanding that generative AI you know is a reality today that we have, and it is going to bring a tectonic shift in terms of productivity. So while we are going to see increase in productivity, we are also going to see redundancies that are going to kick in. So how do we take care of our employees and we utilize their knowledge that they have by working in that domain or working with us in the organization, and reskill them proactively and tap their talent? That is very, very important. That is a focus that we have to keep in. At the same time, we also have to be very mindful that we use the current technologies that are coming, and that is going to change the future of our organization. So that is very important. Creating a balance between the two is very important. The third is to understand the difference between the expectations of the different generations that we have, to understand the changing needs of the people that who are working with us, and to have our own customized HR processes, HR policies for them. So our offerings cannot be one fitting all. It has to be pretty much catering to the needs of the clientele or the stakeholders or our own employees that we have. That is very, very important. So, and people want to be empowered. So empower people into decision making, making them aware of whatever is happening in the organization, at the same time having guardrails around the final outcome and giving them the psychological safety. That is going to be the HR vision for the future and the current as we see.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. And you did touch base about technology, its disruption. How
Yes.
how then do you see the role of an HR? And HR is a large organization, but to speak about few key roles, for example, how do you see AI supporting, disrupting, changing the workflow altogether in some of those example positions, for example, talent acquisition and few more?
Yeah. Uh, Thank you for that question, and thank you for simplifying it and saying that, specific functions. See, AI has become pretty much a way of life today, Rahul, right? When it comes to HR. So it is touching across all the functions that we have. And what it has done is improve upon the empowerment that our employees feel. They can access it from anywhere. It has democratized the talent availability that is there. So, but two areas where it has, I think, really been making an impact for last few years, and not just with coming of Gen AI, is one is recruitment or talent acquisition, and the second area is learning. So these two areas I would specifically pick up for saying that the kind of impact that AI has made. So if we look at talent acquisition, it has really impacted the way we do our work and the role of recruiters. So earlier, while we were working a lot, we were spending a lot of time in terms of operational activities of talent acquisition. Today, if like sourcing, screening, and all of that, and reutilizations of the available pool of resumes that was there, that has kind of really, really changed. So the first aspect is there that when we have a ATS, which really enables to use automation, and it enables to use machine learning. Essentially, we are not doing the repeat job of going through all the CVs that we have, and every time going to various sources and asking for that resume. So search and match has really, really helped. And when machine learning is helping us to do that better, how we actually select resumes is helping the machine to understand how are we, what, as a recruiter, how are we selecting those profiles. So that is again improving with every time usage that a recruiter does. The second thing is integration of various system in talent acquisition has really made recruiters very, very empowered. Today, if you have an ATS, you can integrate it with various sources like a job board or a social media site or your own internal database that you have. So that has really helped in reducing the cycle time of hiring. You have, uh, you know, uh, a lot of automated work that you can do in terms of very small things like creating your calendars, giving the priority. And one area that is, I would say, as a TA leader, it helps is gamification. It is very easy for us to gamify how my recruiters are performing, how my vendors are performing, and that really helps in terms of providing them that kick when they are doing their job. So that is a very interesting way of looking at AI over there. In terms of learning, today learning has become again very, very democratized.
Yeah.
People can learn. Yeah. So you are able to see, actually technology tells you what is the career path that you can choose, what are the various options. If you want to choose that particular career path, what is it that you want to do? You can today totally shift your career into different areas. So that flexibility is something that AI has provided us, and learning has become a very, very available resource, I would say, in the market, and we are using it as well. So these are the two areas I would say, Rahul, that we are very, very gung-ho about. And if you look at it, 7 to 10% of all the startups that are happening, it covers HR technology. So that speaks about how much of adoption HR is adopting the technology per se. And most of it, I would say, is in these two segments, which is talent acquisition and learning and development, and then also employee experience.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Now, I mean, you of course highlighted like in talent acquisition, machine learning and AI, how it is helping select candidates. But you may know, for example, now also a lot of CVs are being made by AI. That really
Yes,
puts us, I mean, it's from both sides the development is happening, and it becomes
yes,
more murky waters, what the candidate is really capable of. Have you
yes.
encountered this as a prompt statement out there, or how have you kind of gone about it if you have, for example?
Yes, we have. Just like we create JDs, taking help of Gen AI tools. Similarly, the candidate also makes his resume or her resume catering to the JD that we have posted. So we have come across that. How do we cater to that is the further processing of the resume. How do we do? So when we get into more than today, it has shifted the way we interview our candidate or we select our candidate. Instead of just going for an interview process, or instead of just while it helps you in filtering the resume, what we also do is real time giving them of problem statements. We use all these coding platforms, code pairing platforms, and we ask them to solve real time problems. And there are hackathons that are used to hire. There are, so that is the change in the way that we do the actual selection process. So when you are dealing with the real scenario, even if you are using other tool, it doesn't matter. But you should know how to use that tool to come to that, how you solve the problem. So that is more important to us now.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
do you look at, so if you see Rahul today, I think the way we are looking at candidates is also changing. It's not always about what you have done in past and what you know. A lot of focus today is being paid on how do you understand the business problem that is given to you. How do you apply your solution frame of mind to it? That has become very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a great point, and that is the true way of assessment. As I mean, we've been hearing this for a long time that the CVs are dead; they are
Yeah.
not as useful. But when you really see people
Yes.
in action, it really gives you a true kind of picture. Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So now talking about your role in the company, head of people and culture, can you tell us what are some of the problems that you encounter in this role, what this role encompasses, what are the challenges you encounter, how do you go about addressing those challenges?
Okay. My role takes care of actually all the functions that we typically call across HR, which is the employee life cycle. I take care of recruitment, and I take care of also the learning and development. So typically, be it this particular role that I'm playing right now in Centrico, or be it my previous roles, um, the typical challenges that we've come across. The first challenge that we come across, or I have come across, one is your change management.
Hmm.
So inertia of rest is a reality. Whenever we try to change something, people are very, very comfortable with the as is. So how do we get that buy-in has always been a challenge. And it has always, the solution always has been to make employees the part of that story and have a role for all of them in that story. And that is where they help you with that particular initiative. And that is something that I have done in this particular organization also, pretty much, where if we wanted to deploy a role based organization here, it was not just HR which went to the floor and we were talking about what we want to do. We took that buy in from our business managers, and they were the ones who went down to the organization and they said that this is what we are trying to do. And then the acceptability was much more faster. The second challenge, which is across the industry for every HR, if you ask, is retention of key employees. So getting the right employees at the right time, right cost, and retaining them in the organization and having that competitive advantage. That is a challenge that my current role encompasses, and even my previous role was having. So a lot of these policies and a lot of these initiatives that we do, or I take care of, it it focuses on that particular aspect. The third is knowing our primary constituents, which are our employees, and trying to keep in pace with their changing ask. So today, if you see, especially post-COVID, the expectation of people has really changed. And what they want from the organization, each one has a different want, and it is changing by the day. So as HR policy maker, or as culture influencer that I would say that we are, it is very important and very sometimes challenging to keep pace with that requirement of our key resources, key constituent, I would say, which is our resources. Then comes, I work for an Italian organization. We have a bank in Italy. It's called Banca Sella, and we are the GCC for them. So the changing geopolitical scenario also has a huge impact. Each day, if you see, for us, the landscape is changing. So if you ask me, we cannot have any rigid or say long-term today workforce strategy. We cannot have a long-term fulfillment strategy, and people strategy has to change. Compensation strategy has to change. So today it has the industry growth and degrowth. All of it is also changing by the day. So today, one of the very important challenge for us is to keep pace with that, and we be, as I said previously, also be very agile, nimble, and knowledgeable about what is happening outside our organization and outside in the geo political context as well, so that we are aligned to the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, definitely. I mean, that's a very wide across the organization responsibility, from internal all the way to all kinds of external factors. So that is
Yes.
definitely a very big responsibility. So perfect. So Anamika, now we're closing to the end of our podcast, and one of the final questions that I would like to ask you is for our younger audience who are entering the workforce and are looking for all kinds of advices and direction. So, particularly focused on the HR domain, what would be
Yeah.
your suggestion for them?
So most of the times when we ask an aspirant why they are getting into HR, they will say that I like working with people. I'm sure you would have heard that, Rahul, many a times.
First.
Yeah. And that's when I really feel that, uh, guys, you really need to know much more about HR, because it's not just about working with people. HR requires a lot of business acumen. That's very important. Whichever organization we work with, we need to understand what exactly is that organization all about, and what is the ecosystem in which that organization is working. The second thing which is very important is being very tech savvy.
Yeah.
So HR and tech savvy might sound very opposite, but actually when you get into HR, you realize how much of it we need to understand what is happening around in the market, and what are the various technology opportunities that we have for our own organization. So that is very, very important. The third is data centricity and having a very analytical frame of mind. Data is our friend. If anything that we do, data is at the crux of it. Whatever we yeah, if it is our employee database, we need to understand where we are getting people from, where are we losing people to, how is the demand coming, what are the variations. In terms of compensation, we need to understand what are the differentials. So I don't want to overemphasize, but that every time we need to go to business with the data, and we need to understand our own landscape in terms of data. Then fourth is having a contextual wisdom, which is like you can understand what is happening in the market in terms of HR policies, in terms of HR framework, in terms of best practices of HR. But it is very important that we do not just bring all of it and try to replicate in our organization. To have that contextual wisdom is very important. We should know what works for our organization and what is it that we should just deploy from what is the best practice, and what is that differentiator or the best practice that we should create in the context of our own organization. Then I would say we should be ready to break the rules, and but at the same time be unwavering with ethics when it comes to ethics, and be able to ask questions. We have to be bold. Asking questions, many a times we don't do, but even if you're a junior HR person, you should have the audacity of questioning uh, the business or your stakeholders that you are working with. So yeah, these are the 5 points that I would say, Rahul, is would work for any newcomer.
Great. I mean, I think those were very thought through and fantastic advices. Thank you for that, Anamika. Perfect. So I think with that, we come to a close to our today's conversation. So again, thank you so much for your time and conversation and sharing your insight with us.
Thank you, Rahul. It was wonderful talking to you.
Great. Have a good day.
You too.